Hi, it's Dave here. This is my wife, Kathy.
Hello.
This is the Cinemile. It's the podcast where we walk home from the movies, and we've been doing that for 400 episodes. This episode, of course, we're not actually walking home from the movie for this episode, so it doesn't, I guess that doesn't count because we're sitting at home. What we're going to do is it's 10 years since we started podcasting. So
yeah, May 2016.
So we are going to take a look back over each year. We do an episode on our best of the year. We share our 5 favorite movies each and our worst movie. We've collated all of those 10 years of best and worst movies into 50 movies each and 10 terrible movies each that we're going to review now. We're going to look back over all those movies on this episode. And if you want to follow along, we're going to link to the lovely Excel document that Kathy has made. This is a bit of work collating all
It
these.
was interesting. Yeah, we're going to link to it in our Patreon, but it was a really interesting exercise because we both started writing our lists in like Apple Notes circa 2019, so those lists were readily available. The other ones we had to actually go back through the episodes and listen, so of course we're cringing at the early episodes, but like I had so much fun. Like our first ever one of these in 2016 we recorded on a train in London. Really short. We got longer as we went on. The 2017 one we recorded on an airplane, on an Aer Lingus flight coming home to Ireland for Christmas when we lived in the UK.
We were always on the move.
2021, like in the pandemic, you know, it's really interesting to go back. But yeah, we now have our lists ready. Thank God for podcast transcripts as well. Listen to the whole thing. It's been a really fun exercise. And honestly, some of these movies, as I was looking at my list of 50, I was like, I don't even remember them.
Yeah, there were a couple here where I didn't recognize the name of the movie or what it was about.
It's so fun. But before we get into it, so thank you to everyone who listens to the podcast, particularly a lot of you who have been listening since 2016, which is wild. But even if you just started listening this week, thank you for being here. Thank you, Dave, for being an amazing co-host always. This
likewise,
podcast
Kathy.
is the best fun of our lives. We love it so much. It's really kept us going to the cinema after we had kids, which most of our listeners tell us as soon as I had kids I stopped going to the cinema. So we're quite unique in that we actually have kids and go to the cinema together every week or most weeks.
Of course, you were pregnant the year we started this in
I
2016.
was, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing to note is that even though we're on our 400th Cinemile episode here, we actually have over 80 retro movie reviews and almost 200 TV reviews over on Patreon. So we've loads over on Patreon or Apple podcast subscription. So if you want to hear us talking about old movies or TV shows, go over there. But here we are talking about our best of the decade since we started this podcast. Let's get into it.
And just a quick reminder, I will publish Kathy's Excel doc or I guess an image of the Excel doc. We're not going to make you all download Excel and open it up. We will share that in our Patreon, but make it available to everybody, and we'll link to that in the show notes if you want to just look at all of them. But let's start with 2016. Oh, we should also say we're obviously not going to spoil any of these movies. Yeah. No spoilers here.
I mean, some of them I truly can't remember, so I couldn't spoil them. I tried.
Couldn't have tried. Right. 2016. Why don't we? There's 50 movies here, so we're not going to go into detail on any of these, but let's just list them off, and we'll react as we go, and see if there's anything you feel like is wrong now looking back. Kathy, go on. Give us your best and worst movies of 2016.
So my top 5 in descending order. Number 5 was Hell or High Water. Remember that being brilliant. Haven't seen it since. Arrival. Number 4. Same, haven't seen it since. Room, and by the way, I never rewatch movies, so most of these I haven't seen again. Room was number 3. I cheated in 2016 and had a joint number 2, which was Moana and Zootropolis.
Yeah, I wasn't happy about that at the time.
And my number 1 was
Still
Sing
raw.
Street, the Irish film. Now, the Moana Zootropolis I've seen a ton of times because we've kids. Really, the only movies I'll have rewatched ever will have been kids ones. I still think Sing Street is a brilliant film, and I'm really proud that I had that as my number 1 of 2016. Dave, what was your
It's
number?
a great movie.
What was your top 5 of 2016?
I think all of these are good. I actually haven't seen Room. Still haven't seen it.
It's great.
And I don't really... It's one of those movies I don't really feel like I want to... it's not one that you feel like putting on.
It's a bit grim,
it's
yeah.
a very
it's a great
dark
film.
subject
To be honest, if I was remaking this list now, the only thing I'd change is I'd take Zootropolis off and I'd just have Moana at number 2.
Oh, so Zootropolis has gone down the rankings for you.
It's less, over time, it's less interesting to me than Moana was. And I think because the music of Moana has really stuck with me and the location was really unique. And
Zootropolis is a banger though.
Zootropolis is great, but like it wouldn't be in my number 2 if I was to
Okay,
redo
fair
the
enough.
list. What's your 2016 top 5?
So in 2016, I had in ascending order? What, or descending? The one, okay, from 5 to 1.
Yeah.
Captain Fantastic, which is a great film. I also had Hell or High Water. I also had Sing Street.
At your number 3.
I had Kubo and the Two Strings, which is a film I have forgotten about.
We loved it though.
It's a lovely film. Beautiful cover of My Guitar Gently Weeps in that. It's like a animation, stop motion, like incredible. They created like waves and water with stop motion. It's a beautiful.
Do you know what? We need
film.
to show this to our kids.
Absolutely.
I had completely
why
forgotten.
haven't we done that?
Because we forgot about the film.
Yeah, and here we are. That's why it's good to look back at these.
It's good
I'm definitely going to show that to the boys. Kubo and the Two Strings, beautiful film. And my number 1 that year was Arrival, and I had intended to rewatch some of these movies before we recorded, but I just ran out of time because I've got Arrival on Blu-ray and I haven't watched it since 2016.
Well, at least you bought it, so you supported it.
I did. I try to buy my best films of the year on Blu-ray every year, or most of them, because physical media long live. But yeah, Arrival, beautiful film. I really love it. I kind of wish Denis Villeneuve would move away from the Dune franchise and do something else. I know he's doing Bond, which I think will be cool.
I'm over Dune.
But yeah, I like all this. My worst film of the year was Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. And looking back, I kind of have a fondness for that movie. It's like it's not good, but I would rewatch that. I actually would. And it's so stupid. The whole Martha mother thing and all that Zack Snyder stuff. What a time.
My worst of the year was Independence Day Resurgence.
Now that's a garbage film. I will never rewatch that.
I left the cinema.
You did?
These days we don't leave the cinema. We used to in the early days, again before we had kids, because we used to go to the cinema a lot more. So you could afford to walk out of the film.
I see another one in 2017 that we walked out on.
Whereas now it's like it's such effort to get babysitter and all the rest of it that like we tend to pick films we think we're really gonna like.
Yeah.
Whereas back in 2016 we had a pass for the cinema and we were
to
going
everything.
We were going like 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah.
So right now I'd probably never go to a film that I was going to walk out of. But I remember being really excited because I love Independence Day and then being really
Independence
devastated.
Day is great.
So yeah, I think that was a good worst of the year, right? 2017.
Do you remember? Sorry, quick nostalgia moment for the day we saw Independence Day Resurgence. Do you remember that day?
It was Brexit.
It was Brexit. Yeah. We voted in the Brexit referendum and then went to this, and 2 complete disasters in one day.
Yeah. 2017. My number 5 was My Life is a Courgette, which is a lovely film.
Lovely film.
Again, we need to show the kids. Oh no, it was a bit dark.
That's
an animation, but it's a bit dark.
It's a little dark, but
yeah.
I always think you can have a bit of darkness in a kid's film.
Yeah, but I'd need to check that one before I show it to them.
Great memories of that movie because that was the day we met Chris Hewitt.
From Empire, he came with us.
Who championed our podcast very early on. That was a lovely day. Yeah, we met Chris for the first time. I remember the sun was shining and that movie's only like 70 minutes long. And
lovely
it's a delight.
Day, lovely film, lovely duration. My number 4 was Wonder Woman.
Oh.
That one I feel is a bit creaky.
I mean, that's a good movie. It's good.
I guess it was a good movie.
It was better than Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Would I go and see something with Gal Gadot in it now? No. Did that franchise turn into a disaster? Yes. But I guess at the time I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, Wonder Woman 2 was bad.
Number 3, I had Moonlight that year. I love
That's a great movie.
Moonlight.
Yeah.
Number 2, I had Get Out. Number 1, I had The Big Sick, which we went to see with Helen O'Hara from Empire Magazine that year.
Oh, yeah.
Probably if I was to redo that in terms of like what stayed with me, I'd have Moonlight number 1. I wouldn't have The Big Sick one number 1. But I love rom-coms and I loved The Big Sick. So yeah, it's still a good list. I'm happy with it. And my worst of 2017 was Baywatch, another film we walked out of, and I'm very happy that I've that on my worst.
That was my worst as well.
Probably the last time we walked out of a film on the podcast, though, because after that, with kids and time was too precious.
Well, no, looking ahead, looking at all the other years, there are films I wish I had walked out of.
Yeah,
and could have.
What was your number 5?
We'll get to those. I basically any of my worst movies post 2017, I would love to have walked out on.
The thing is, though, if we're going to make something our worst movie, like, our due diligence should be that we sit through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? But sometimes if a movie's bad enough to make you walk out of the cinema,
Baywatch was just offensively bad.
It was bad, yeah. Right,
so
Dave,
terrible.
what's your 2017 list?
My top 5 from 5 to 1 are Logan, which I also haven't rewatched. I love Logan. The Mayorit's Stories, which I had to Google.
What was that? I had to Google it as well.
I don't remember this.
It's a Netflix movie.
Turns out it's a Netflix movie with Adam Sandler and a family that I couldn't tell you 2 things about.
It was. I remember.
I obviously liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had My Life as a Courgette. I did the bullshit that you did the year before here. I was obviously inspired by you, and I put 2 movies in joint second place, which was Moonlight and Get Out.
Cheater.
Now, I haven't listened back to what I said, but I'm imagining...
I listened back and I specifically said, you called me out on this last year, and now you've done it to me. Bullshit. I think like now it's like, get the Mayor Witch stories out of there. Do you know what I mean?
I'd imagine I felt like it was okay because it's like two films about black voices and black culture from black directors. And I wanted to champion them both.
And they weren't each
really,
deserving of their own spot.
That's cheating, yeah. I absolutely agree. I acknowledge that now.
But you'd still have them both in the list, whereas now I'd give Zootropolis the arse.
I mean, obviously I'd now get rid of the Mayorit stories, which has had no lasting impact in my memory or culture. And both Moonlight and Get Out deserve.
Mayorit stories is huge.
Yeah.
It's still talked about today.
Yeah, I can't wait for the next Mayorit story cinematic universe.
And your number one was?
My number one was Blade Runner 2049, another Denis Villeneuve film, which I stand behind. Mm-hmm. And I love that film. And it is gorgeous. And I think about it often. Wow. And I look at the images from it often.
Are you okay? You're just looking at images of Blade Runner 2049?
Yeah, I don't know why. I've become a big Blade Runner stan.
What about your worst of the year?
Baywatch. We spoke about that.
Right, yeah. Double header there for
That's
Baywatch.
2017.
Right, my 2018. Number 5 was... Into the Spider-Verse. I stand by that. I love that film. My number 4 was Mamma Mia 2, to which I say, Kathy, are you okay? However, I don't remember it.
Did you see that without me? I don't think I've seen that.
I saw it in France. I saw it in France.
Oh, I remember.
We did a really fun episode. So we were visiting my sister in France and her husband Guillaume, and we had our baby Oscar with us. And the plan was the 4 of us plus Oscar were going to go into Mamma Mia 2. To which the French cinema said, you were not bringing that child in. So you and Guillaume went off with Oscar. Me and Jackie watched Mamma Mia 2. And then we chaotically did a review of it, all of us together, even though you hadn't seen it. So our podcast used to be really chaotic. Mamma Mia 2, I don't remember, but if I had it in my top 5 of the list, I'm going to rewatch it because number 3 is coming out soon. So I'm really happy about that. My number 3 of 2018 was Private Life, which I did not remember and had to Google. It's Paul Giamatti and I think Catherine Hahn, a relationship drama that I guess must have been really good if I had it at my number 3. That looked good. I don't recall it. Number 2, I had Coco, which I totally stand by. I love that. Probably the last great Pixar. And I still love Un Poco Loco song from that. And it's a film I've watched again with the kids and the kids love it. And my number 1 was Widows, which I can't really remember, but I do remember loving.
That is, I didn't,
Viola Davis, right?
I didn't rate that film at all.
And clearly I loved it. It was my number 1. But we can't even debate it now because I can't remember it.
You think, I bet you if you rewatch that now, you would not have that.
I need to rewatch
at your number 1.
And my worst of the year, and I absolutely stand by this, was Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Dave, what was your...
I don't think that movie was Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I think it's the second Fantastic Beasts movie which has a different title.
Fantastic Beasts and Where Not to Find Them? I can't remember.
Correct me if I'm wrong, everyone.
It was the last one of those films I ever watched and it was diabolically bad.
Because I didn't see that one.
I went to see it with my mom and she christened Eddie Redmayne Eddie Sideface because he only ever acts with the side of his face to the camera, and it was so true. That man's never looked a camera dead in the eye.
Isn't it quite astounding to look back at those trilogy of films like following one of the biggest cultural phenomenons of our time, Harry Potter, and that they just absolutely tanked for various reasons.
And I remember enjoying
Johnny
the first
Depp being one of them.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we are not going to be watching
Imagine
the new
having
Harry Potter
a character that was played by Colin Farrell and then subbing Johnny Depp in.
I forgot about
that. What a terrible idea.
Dave, what was your 2018 list?
My 2018 list was at number 5 I had Coco, which I'm happy with.
Our lists often had crossover, but only 1 year did we have the same number 1.
Which was was last year, Sinners. The only time we've had the same number 1, which surprised me. I thought we had a lot of...
Same, I thought we'd more.
A lot. Coco, then Mission Impossible Fallout, which I'm surprised you didn't put on your list. You loved the Mission Impossible
Well,
movies.
I was going back over my notes. That had been my guilty pleasure that year.
Oh, and that was... Well, why is that a guilty pleasure? That's a straight up pleasure.
Go back and listen to our 2018 best of the year.
I refuse. I'll read the transcript, read parts of the transcript. That was the last good Mission Impossible film, 2018. Imagine that.
Yeah.
A Quiet Place, Avengers Infinity War in 2018. It was number 2.
First and last time an MCU movie got onto our lists.
No, I've one more in 2019.
Oh, right, okay.
And then my number 1 film of 2018 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I think would be my number 1 film of the last 10 years, if not even further back, because I think that film is a masterpiece, and I love it
Dave said to me,
Unconditionally.
let's try and make a top 5 of the decade each. And I said, I can't because I'd have to rewatch so many of them because I just don't know how I could compare films that I can't remember. And Dave said, well, I know my number one. And I said, well, I know it's Spider-Verse, so nobody needs you to tell us that.
Yeah.
And
That's not true.
What was your worst
Right
of the
in,
year?
listeners. You were dying to know my thoughts on Spider-Verse.
What was your worst of the year in 2018?
My worst of the year was Ready Player One, which I stand by,
I stand by as
and
well.
is an absolutely horrifically bad movie.
I stand by it on your behalf, and I'm surprised it must have been in one because we tend to have a top 5, then we'll do a worst movie, and then we'll do like other bad ones and disappointing. I'm sure it was in a list.
I've had the displeasure to both read the book and watch the movie of that, and it's a disaster. I cannot believe Steven Spielberg himself adapted that piece of garbage.
I can't believe it either. 2019, my list here really threw me. I don't remember any of this. I think I had a very small kid and I was possibly pregnant with the second one. Number 5, Can You Ever Forgive Me, which was a film I really liked with Richard E. Grant and Melissa McCarthy. We went to see that with such a fun guest, Craig Parkinson, the actor who many of you will know played the caddy in Line of Duty, and he was such a fun guest. We had a ball. I really liked the film.
Lovely man.
Can't remember it now. 4, Late Night. I had to Google this. This is it's Emma Thompson and I think Mindy Kaling, and Emma Thompson plays like a late night TV talk show host. When I tell you,
I have never
I
heard
had
of this
never
film.
I have never heard of it, and somehow it was on my list. And when I looked it up, yes, I have watched it. It's not at all resonated or stayed with me. Number 3, I had Judy, which is a film I love, which is the Judy Garland, like, I guess biopic starring, was it Renee Zellweger?
It's a good film.
We always say that we think biopics are like the worst genre. Because Judy focuses on a time in her life as opposed to showing us her entire life.
Yeah,
it really
those
worked.
are the better ones.
Renee Zellweger is amazing in that film. I loved it.
I always say it should be pronounced biopic and not biopic, which sounds like a medical procedure.
My number 2,
it can't be either.
I'm going to rewatch Judy. I'd forgotten about the film. My number 2 was Marriage Story, which was Scarlett Johansson, Adam Driver.
Oh, that was good.
I remember being very good. My number 1 was Knives Out, which surprises me, but I really, really loved the first Knives Out movie. I love a mystery and I love comedy, and I thought that was an absolutely brilliant film, so clearly made my list. My worst of the year was Joker, and I'd say if I had to pick worst of the decade, I'd probably have Joker as worst of the decade.
Wow.
I really hated that film. Dave, what's your 2019 list?
I'll say Joker doesn't feature anywhere on my best or worst list, but I remember coming out of the cinema and giving that a pretty favorable review.
I just hated I don't think it's a bad film per se. I hated the sentiment and the vibe and the aesthetic, and I just thought it was a really nasty film.
But I actually this is one of those films where I now feel differently about in the culture and time having passed, because I think that film became a sort of incel manosphere red flag. It like it really became like I'm not a fan of the what that film represents in our culture, and I think it was up its own hole. And I was
what a beautiful review.
I was delighted to see the second one for him to get his comeuppance.
Even though the second one
we liked that more,
I prefer it to the first one. Right, Dave, 2019.
So I had Judy at my number 5, Knives Out at number 4, Klaus, which was a lovely Netflix film about the origin of Santa.
So we need to show that to the kids. We've so many films here that we need to show our kids.
It's great. We're getting great recommendations. Midsommar, which I feel good about having at number 2. That was a great film.
Never seen that.
And the number 1 was Avengers Endgame. This is the last time the MCU will feature on my top 5, which was 7 years ago, which
and
is
it never featured on
saying something.
And this is for the man who in 2016 did a MCU movie marathon and recorded over an entire weekend, watched every available MCU movie and reviewed them on the podcast. You'll find that in our very early feed.
I loved the MCU.
You loved it so much. This podcast actually is a journey through the MCU from you.
It really is. And everything, I think like many people, after Endgame, it was all downhill.
It really was. And the name was also Endgame for the franchise.
I just found Endgame, I still love Endgame, and I love everything that came before Endgame. I love the experience. I love that I got to live through 10 years of great MCU. It was a beautiful build-up, and all of that. That was one of my all-time favorite cinematic experiences, was seeing that.
It was one
in the cinema. It was incredible.
What was your worst of the year?
My worst of the year was Bird Box, which is a terrible movie, and I stand by that. Do you remember
bad.
that? Do you remember that?
So bad.
That was one of the first big
It was the
Netflix
first big,
movies. Was
yeah.
it the first big?
Because I remember we were like, oh my, we reviewed it. Like most of these, by the way, we have full reviews of.
Almost all of them.
With Bird Box, I specifically remember the park we were walking around in the UK, and I remember us being like, they've got a movie star, like they've got Sandra Bullock. We were like blown away by that.
Oh, it's really telling, actually. It's a really indicator of the Netflix movies to come, because we've had 6 years of big movie stars making garbage Netflix films.
And interestingly, like we both have Knives Out on our list that year, and I have it on my number one. But that's when Knives Out was a cinematic film, not a Netflix film. That's right.
They went and scooped it up.
Right, I'm going to do 20. We'll do 2020, and then we're going to go to a break. Right, so my number 5 of 2020. Now, 2020 is a weird year for cinema.
How come?
They say that much.
What happened that year?
So I put on my number 5 of 2020, Tenet, which is not a film I've revisited like most of these, but I think from memory, the reason I had that in my list at all, because I think I had some issues with the film, was the sheer joy we had when cinemas reopened in 2020 and we went back. And I really, really have always admired the director of Tenet for putting his money where his mouth is, like, and saying, yeah, people can be safe in the cinema, like there was social distance and everything, but he was like, people need to go back to movie theaters. And we loved him for it. We had our masks on. We were distanced from everyone. We were buzzing. Like, I remember people message us during the pandemic about our Tenet reviews, saying your Tenet reviews made me so happy because
we were happy.
You two sound so happy going to the cinema. Because before that, during the pandemic, we were like wandering around the block and reviewing movies we'd like watched on
sad.
Netflix or whatever.
Do you remember? I have this vivid memory of us watching any old shit we could find.
Yeah.
And then walking around our block. And I've just this awful memory of us watching the live action remake of Lady and the Tramp on Disney Plus, and then wandering around these desolate streets, talking about this desolate film.
But obviously, though, honestly,
depressing.
I think the podcast was a big thing, like for my mental health in 2020, to have that, for us to have a project, for us to be able to do something. Like, I was on maternity leave. It was not a nice time to have a baby, so for me, it was a real glimmer of hope, even though we were like watching predominantly shite. Number 4 was 1917, which is a fantastic film. I totally stand by that. Number 3 was Parasite, the last movie we saw in the cinema before lockdown. And I remember us thinking, if that's the last movie we ever see in the cinema, we went out with a bang. Number 2 was Rocks, which I loved, which we did watch online during the pandemic with friend of the podcast, Lou Mensa. And Rocks was remember it was a teenage film about these girls in England.
Great film.
And I loved Rocks so much. It was like my sweet spot of like a teen movie. You know, the social issues discussed. It's funny, it's sweet. And then number 1 it was a BBC series where they made mini films, Small Acts, and specifically the episode Lovers Rock.
About a house party.
And I loved it. I haven't seen it since, but I stand by it, and I want to go back and watch that again.
Yeah.
And my worst of the year, I had a double header here. I had Artemis Fowl, which I do remember us making a lot of foul jokes about how bad it was. And then Paw Patrol Ready Race Rescue. Now, this will not be the last time a Paw Patrol movie shows up in my list. It was a movie. We saw it in the cinema in January 2020.
As in, I mean, it's not a movie. It's one of those kids things that's 40 minutes long.
2020 I have such vivid memories of, because there were such key things around our baby Elliot being born and the pandemic. So I remember going to see Paw Patrol Ready Race Rescue like possibly the day before he was born, or 2 days before he was born or something, within the same week, because I was so pregnant. And it was only 40 minutes long, and it was like the longest 40 minutes of my life. It's also the first episode our son Oscar showed up on as a reviewer.
But it was his first ever time at the cinema.
Well, he went as a baby, but it was his first time as someone who's cognizant.
Yeah.
So we've played that episode back to him before, and it's this cute little baby English accent. It's adorable. Dave, what's your 2020 list?
I'm looking at my 2020 list and yours. It's funny, 4 out of 5 of them are the same.
Yeah, because we saw so few films.
So rare.
It was either that or like
true.
straight to DVD. Shite.
So I also had 1917. I had Small Axe Lovers Rock. The only difference I had is you had Tenet, which I don't really rate.
It was for the cinematic experience.
No, I get that.
What's Onward?
I had Onward, which is a Disney film we saw right before the pandemic. It's about 2 brothers and they go off on a Dungeons and Dragons adventure. Yeah, it's a nice film.
One to show our kids.
I probably wouldn't.
Looking back,
in the 6 years since, I don't think it's left much of a mark on me or on culture.
But if we go back and watch it, it could be as good as you remember it, as you thought at the time. Who
Maybe.
knows? But it was either Onward or Lady and
fine.
the Tramp. You know what I mean?
Oh God, yeah, Jesus Christ. I mean, Onward was nice. but I don't know if it would like be a top 5 for me. But I guess I had slim pickings, and I also had Rocks, which was lovely, and Parasite I had number 1, which was a rare time that my number 1 film of the year crossed over with the Best Picture at the Oscars the following year.
Oh yeah,
It only happened one other time that I can see.
I forgot about that.
And my worst was Artemis Fowl, which was
just diabolical.
Kenneth Branagh.
I think
What
we
was he
did. I
doing?
think in our desperation to make episodes in the pandemic, I'm pretty sure we reviewed Artemis Fowl.
Oh, we did. Oh, you can go back and listen to us talking about Artemis Fowl, which was honestly the most offensive thing towards Irish culture.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I know it's an Irish writer, and I support Irish writers,
Of course,
but having it be have like Irishness via Hollywood,
just embarrassing.
via Kenneth Branagh, who has Irish, was born in Belfast and has Irish connections. So
Sure,
but like this
doesn't excuse Artemis
this
Fowl.
isn't Irish. This is Irish.
I can't remember. I just remember it.
Judi
thinking it
Dench.
was
Remember
terrible.
Judi Dench was a fairy with an Irish accent.
No, and I don't
Oh
want to remember.
Jesus, Colin Farrell, terrible stuff.
Right, we are going to take
Burn it.
a quick break, and then we will be back with 2021 through to 2025.
See you in a moment.
With Plan B emergency contraception, we're in control of our future. It's backup birth control you take after unprotected sex that helps prevent pregnancy before it starts. It works by temporarily delaying ovulation, and it won't impact your future fertility. Plan B is available in all 50 U.S. states at all major retailers near you, with no ID, prescription, or age requirement needed. Together, we've got this. Follow Plan B on Insta at Plan B One Step to learn more. Use as directed.
Okay, we're back, and we're now in 2021. Kathy, take us through your best and worst of 2021.
So my number 5 was Palm Springs, which I stand by. It's a time travel comedy. Great fun.
Great film.
Highly recommend. From memory, I think it's on Amazon, but check that. It's only like 90 minutes as well. So if you're looking for it's a Saturday, Friday evening at home, you want something fun to watch, Palm Springs is your movie. Number 4, I had to Google because I couldn't remember what it was. Tick, Tick, Boom.
Oh, it's Andrew Garfield's musical, right?
And made by Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah.
I don't remember it, but I must have loved it if it was my number 4. Very musical heavy year here. Number 3, I had Sound of Metal, which is the movie about a drummer who's going deaf, and he gets cochlear implants.
Great movie.
With Riz Ahmed, who we just watched hosting Saturday Night UK, which we're really enjoying. Number 2, I had Ali and Ava, which was a lovely film.
Nice. Yeah,
I saw at the Cork International Film Festival that year. That was a very sweet film. And then my number 1, I had Promising Young Women, Emerald Fennell. It's interesting because she's received quite the backlash this year on
Wuthering Heights.
With Wuthering Heights, and I personally didn't enjoy Wuthering Heights. But a lot of people are kind of retrospectively going back and like trashing her old movies.
Oh, really?
But I do stand by that. I thought Promising Young Woman.
Yeah, Saltburn was kind of
I really liked Saltburn.
It's divisive, right?
Yeah, Promising Young Woman was too. And look, the subject matter is very intense, and she treats it in a intense and schlocky way. But I enjoyed how she did it. And my worst of the year of 2021 was The Woman in the Window. That is a diabolically bad movie.
Which one? I get mixed up with the
Starring
girl on the train and the
Amy-
women on the window.
Amy Adams.
Oh, is that the one where she's an alcoholic?
Yeah, and she
her
it's basically Rear Window, but she's an alcoholic. I had read the book, and the book was a cracker, so I was really excited for this, and it was very bad.
Garbage.
Dave,
I remember that.
what's your 2021 list?
My number 5, we 2 the same here. My number 5 was Sound of Metal, which is great. Promising Young Woman, which you also had. And then my top 3 is different. My third is June, part 1.
I would say.
Which,
Why?
I think I was obviously clinging to my love of Denis Villeneuve and anything he'll touch, but Dune leaves me cold. Really, I admire those movies and they look wonderful.
Maybe if you went back and watched the first one though, you've rewatched
I did.
it.
I rewatched
yeah.
this first one in advance of the second one, and both I acknowledge are really impressive visual feats.
Yeah,
and
they're stunning
and they're cool and they're good moments. I just never feel anything.
Same.
In those movies.
Because what leaves when I look back on these lists, it's the ones that really touched me.
Yeah.
Like Ali and Ava, which is not a film that's even big, but like it really touched me when I watched it.
And I think that makes sense. My number 2 was The Suicide Squad by James Gunn. I love that film.
That was a cracker.
I haven't rewatched it. I must get that one on Blu-ray. And the number 1 was The Mitchells versus the Machines, which I love. If anyone hasn't seen that movie, that's a Netflix movie.
It's great.
Made by Sony Pictures Animation.
Have we watched that one with the kids? I think they've seen that one.
Yeah, they've seen that. Oh, it's brilliant. Love that.
What was your worst?
My worst was Old by M. Night Shyamalan, which it's the only worst of these 10 years that I think I will dispute, I don't think
that deserves to be on the
I don't
worst.
think it deserves that there either. I think what I was doing in 2021 was acknowledging that it's a bad film. It just, the worst film of 2021 doesn't feel right.
It feels like it should be in a most disappointing list.
But I wasn't even disappointed. I think, and I've rewatched Old, or have I? But I would rewatch Old. That's what I'm saying. Old is kind of like all M. Night Shyamalan stuff. Is kind of bad but kind of enjoyable in a weird way, and it's an insane film. I don't think it
warrants that either.
I don't think it warrants it either. So I'll retroactively remove Old from the worst film of 2021.
Now 2022 is the year that Paul Mescal came into my life, so he will henceforth.
Did he come into your life?
Yeah, he'll be henceforth heavily featured. My number 5 of 2022 was Flea, which was a wonderful animation around immigration, and I loved that, and I really stand by that.
An animated documentary. It was brilliant.
Yeah, it was brilliant. My number 4 was Everything Everywhere All at Once, which we loved. Actually, a lot of people didn't like, but we loved that film. My number 3 was On Colleen Kuhn, also known as The Quiet Girl, which is a film Os Gaeilge in Irish, about a young girl, going to live with her distant family for the summer. It was really a huge deal here in Ireland. It was up for Best International Picture at the Oscars, albeit it didn't win in the end, or Best Foreign Language, whatever the category is. It was wonderful, and it really marked a moment in Ireland where Irish language was getting a lot of attention, and that momentum's really stuck around. So I love On Colleen Kuhn. My number 2 was After Sun with Paul Mescal, his breakout really film role after Normal People, which of course was his breakout TV role during the pandemic. After Sun, such a wonderful, beautiful film. I love him in that. I think he's at his best playing that kind of character. And then my number 1 was Aisha, which is an Irish film about a woman who lives in direct provision in Ireland, which is a really serious and ongoing issue around where immigrants have to live when they arrive into the country. Wonderful film. Also starred Josh O'Connor before we knew who he was, and it stars Letitia Wright as the titular Aisha, so I really stand by that one. And then my worst of the year, I had a double header here. I had Blackbird, which we went to see for our 250 episode. It is Michael Flatley's directorial, written by and starring debut. It's one of the worst films you'll ever watch. However, I don't know that it should have ended up on my worst list, because we had the time of our lives watching it in the cinema. It was like laugh out loud funny. Didn't. Like there's scenes where, like, remembering he's written the words, a woman will be like, "You're so attractive, you're just so sexy," and he'll be like, "Thanks."
Isn't it insane? Not only did he write them on a page, he then hired an actress to stand in a room and say them to him. Imagine having that level of arrogance.
There's fight scenes that like happen fully off camera because either he can't do them or they can't afford to sequence them or whatever. So it'll be like, it's like pew 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 off screen, and then he walks back in like nearly brushing his hands because he's beating someone up.
I'm going to spoil the end here, but
Dave, you can't spoil the end. You actually, legitimately, we said this is spoiler free.
I won't spoil it, but there is a big fight scene towards the end that the whole film seems like it's culminating towards, and then they don't show it to you because he can't fight.
So bad. My other worst of the year, and I stand by this one more than Blackbird, because I do give kudos to Blackbird for, like, he actually bankrupted himself to make that film, and I respect that. Thor, the second Thor, or was it the third?
It was
what
the
Thor
fourth,
came out?
Thor: Love and Thunder.
2022.
It's a bad film.
And I was so disappointed by that because I'm an OG fan of Thor. Okay, Dave, what is your 2022 list?
I had on the 5th one. By the way, I admire how Irish your list was that year, in both the best and worst. My 5th that year was Top Gun Maverick, which I'm surprised you didn't have higher.
It will have been in my honourable mentions.
Yeah, sure. That was a great film.
But I'll tend to pick something that's more meaningful where I can. Yes, even though that was meaningful because we had so much fun at it.
I had After Sun, which I love. If anything, I put it higher than number 3 here, which I had The Banshees of Inisherin at, which I do like, but I think After Sun.
Great year for Irish cinema, 22.
Yeah, it really was. But After Sun is a movie that's really stuck with me. I think it's Paul. I agree with you. I think this is Paul Mescal's finest performance
amazing in
that
it,
I've
yeah.
ever seen him in.
It's
and
like I could cry just thinking
beautiful,
about it.
beautiful film. I would put it higher up on my list now. Flea, I had at number 2, which is a wonderful film and an important film. It's the kind of film I'd love to just see. If I could meet the anti-immigration lunatics
show them Flea.
and just sit them down and show them Flea.
Well, the first thing you should do when engaging with a group different from you is not to call them lunatics. So you dial back the rhetoric and then you show them Flea.
Mr. Lunatic.
You dial back the rhetoric and then you show them Flea.
Do you have can I have 2 hours of your time, please? You absolute
Hello,
loony.
lunatic. Will you come and watch this documentary with me? And what was your number 1?
My number 1 was Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I love that film so much. And it is the second time that I overlapped with the Best Picture, and I'm still surprised that both that and Parasite won Best Picture at the Oscars, which seems wrong to me as an institution that gives Best Picture to things like Green Book. And
why are you so concerned crossovers with the Oscar?
I just think it's odd that I think Parasite surprised me that it won the Best Picture, and Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I just think the Academy should give up and just
film.
use our lists.
Yeah, exactly.
What was your worst of the year?
Mitchells versus the Machines, Best Picture.
What was your worst?
My worst, I don't know what my worst was, because it seems like, according to the transcript, there were 4 movies I chose. It was a bad year. Thor: Love and Thunder, Moonfall.
What's Moonfall?
Moonfall was the one, the Roland Emmerich one, where the moon was going to fall, crash into the earth.
Oh my God, that was terrible.
And it did. And there was aliens on the moon or something. It was insane. Blackbird and Jurassic World Dominion, they're all bad. Yeah. Terrible
Great
films.
year for Irish movies. Great year for terrible movies. My 2023 list goes number 5, Saltburn, another Emerald Fennell. I really got on with that film. I thought it was really fun. I understand why people don't like it. I had a great time with it.
I still haven't seen it. I must catch up on it.
It's mad, but I really enjoy her sensibility in Saltburn, like posh people being really weird. Barry Keoghan there, and also we had the guy who ends up playing Heathcliff, Jacob Elordi. It's very fun. The number 4 I had that year was Rye Lane, which I love.
That's a lovely film.
Romantic comedy, very small scale, set in London. Had a brilliant time with that film. Totally recommend if anyone's looking for like a short, nice, sweet comedy. Number 3 I had Past Lives, which is a film we both loved. Number 2 I had Poor Things. I don't know about that now.
Oh, really?
Is that the Emma Stone one?
Yeah, the Yorgos Lanthimos.
The problem for me with Yorgos Lanthimos and Emma Stone is that every year since they've brought out a film, and I swear
some years they brought out 2 films.
I'm tired of just seeing them.
Yeah,
and I haven't actually. I say seeing because I've observed them from afar. I've not actually gone to watch
any
them.
of them.
It's just too much for me, and I'm sick of it now. And my number 1, which I totally stand by, is another peak Paul Mescal. This time with Andrew Scott, All of Us Strangers. I love.
It's a lovely film.
That film. Kind of mystical romance, 80s, like very unusual, very
That's
cool
a very
film.
moving film.
Very moving. And then my worst, I have 3 here. I have Quantum Mania, which was an Ant-Man film.
Terrible.
Which was shockingly bad. Again, we liked the early Ant-Man stuff. I had Five Nights at Freddy's. I'm like, what does that stand for? Five Nights at Freddy's, which was diabolically bad. I think they brought another one out since we didn't go to.
They did. I refuse.
And then I have, but I can't read the end of it. There was another Paw Patrol, The Mighty Pops.
The Mighty Pops.
Shocking. And yes, we did record a whole episode on that as well. Paw Patrol movies are beyond bad. Like the TV series is dull, but they do nothing when releasing films in the cinema. They do nothing except make like newer pups that can like be new toys to merchandise. Like there's no plot, there's no character development.
But I think
they're so dull.
But I think they're aimed at toddlers, so I think they are.
Yeah, but look at the age group Bluey's aimed at, and look how good Bluey is.
That's
like,
true.
There's no excuse.
That's true. Everything pales compared to Bluey.
What's your 2023?
Bluey is the number 1 thing of all media of the decade. Honestly,
it really is,
it is. It is the most beautiful.
And
thing
I can't
ever
wait
created.
for the Bluey movie when that comes out. I can't wait either. We will be all over that.
Right. Well, where are we? 2023. Okay. I had All of Us Strangers at number 5. I had Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse at number 4.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, that was good. Will we ever get the third one, which was promised the following year?
It's this year. I've seen trailers.
Is it?
Yeah, I saw a teaser.
No, I don't think it's this year. I think it's next year.
Oh. Then what are they? Why are they teasing me if it's coming out next year?
But I remember it was supposed to be back to back. It was 2023.
Is this the Tom Holland
then
one?
the following year. Oh no, you're
I'm talking
getting
about Tom Holland.
mixed up. No, there is a Tom Holland Spider-Man this year. No, this is
sorry,
sequel
this is
to the
Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse.
Sorry, yeah.
Which was supposed to.
Yeah, but it left us on a cliffhanger, and to me that means it can't be on the list.
I know.
Sorry.
Do you remember that was the year where every film ended on a cliffhanger?
Yeah, Mission Impossible, Fast and the Furious, Spider-Man Across Spider-Verse, all ended.
That was weird.
We're not a TV show. It's like
exactly.
it was so weird.
So weird.
You know,
and then loads of them didn't tell you that it was a part one, except Mission Impossible, I think. Number 3 was Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves, which I have watched several times since, and I bought the Blu-ray, and I love that.
It's great fun,
film
really
so
good
much.
fun film.
I had Poor Things at number 2, like you, and then my number 1 was Past Lives, which I love.
Poor Things, I think it's a little bit too high now in both of our lists.
You think so?
But I could be misremembered. Like I've not seen it.
It was cool and it was weird and it was interesting.
What was your worst?
I mean, it's concerning and creepy if you think about it for too long. The actual plot of the movie. My worst was Five Nights at Freddy's, which is one of the worst films I saw in the past.
And it should have been good. It had
10
such a
years.
good premise, and we won't get into it. But like,
Yeah,
by the second night, the entire thing's fallen apart.
it was so
boring,
tediously dull.
Like you feel like you were watching it for 5 nights, and I'm not making a pun there or being facetious. It felt that long. Right, 2024. My number 5 was Challengers. Love that
what
film.
a movie.
My number 4 was American Fiction. Great film, which you haven't seen. It's
No, I
so
need to see
funny
that.
and really like on the nose about American culture and race, and just a cracker of a film. Number 3, I had the Irish film Bring Them Down, which I loved. It was about dueling farmers in Ireland in a kind of a battle around their land, and had an insane performance from an actor whose second name escapes me. First name Christopher. He played Marnie's boyfriend in Girls. They did the famous In Central Park episode where they met up years later after breaking up. He learned how to phonetically speak Oscuelga in Irish and spoke to my ear, as someone who speaks pretty good Irish, unreal Irish.
Fair play.
In a Galway accent, right? It was incredibly impressive. That's not why it was my third movie, because it was also just a great film, but Bring Them Down, for anyone who wants to see him do that, I thought it was really impressive. My number 2 is the only one...
This has aged badly.
Emilia Perez. Now, since this film, like I watched it, and within a week we recorded the episode, so I kind of watched it when it came out, didn't read anything about it, and subsequently put it on my list because I loved it. I'm now since aware that it was highly offensive to many communities that were kind of represented here, from the trans to the Latin American.
Specifically Mexico.
Yeah. So I take all that on board, that I, as a cisgendered white Irish woman, didn't really like see any of that when I was watching it. But as a film, when I was watching it, I thought she was amazing. Her performance, I know her Oscar thing ended up being absolutely scuttled from all her like wild tweets that came out, none of which I condone. But in the film, I thought her performance was unreal. I thought the songs were hilarious. Like I loved the musical
There were some
numbers.
cool songs.
Yeah. There was a mad one that was like, "Do you want a sex change? Let's get a sex change."
I liked the film too.
I really
thought
liked it.
was
Yeah,
cool.
but I don't know that I'd have it on my list now because of the audience reaction to the people represented. My number 1 absolutely would have still is Kneecap, the Irish rappers who rap Oscuelga, and I absolutely had such a ball with that film. My worst of the year was Hot Frosty.
Is that the Sexy Snowman Netflix?
Snowman Who Comes to Life. But I look at that movie with great fondness now, and I think out of all the Netflix Christmas movies, it's probably the best one.
It's the best one.
It's the only one that made a list because it's the only one I'll treat it as an actual film.
Right. So the other Netflix Christmas movies don't count as films?
Yeah, they're barely like TV.
Yeah.
But the Hot Frosty.
Do you remember that Lindsay Lohan one where she lost Santa pushed her off a cliff and she lost her memory? What was that one called?
Hot Frosty though is really bad. Like the snowman comes to life and he becomes a man, and then he's a human in human form.
Yeah.
But then when like the room's too warm, he starts melting, and it's like, well, you're either human form or you're not. Like,
yeah, pick a lane, Hot Frosty.
Be consistent with your own world.
Did that movie have the Netflix Christmas universe Santa? Because he's in all of them, isn't he?
I think it definitely had him watching Netflix.
Yeah.
Like they're always watching Netflix anyway. Tell us, what's your 2024 list? Like, it's only your second last list. It feels so long
These
ago.
they feel quite recent to me. Small Things Like These, the Cillian Murphy film, was my number 5. We do have a lot of Irish films popping up here in the last 5 years. It's lovely to see.
Yeah.
Lovely to see Irish
Well, look,
cinema.
my first ever number 1 was Sing Street. So
yeah, you were there from the beginning.
I was talking about Irish movies, Dave, when they were cool, not before they were cool.
I'm really happy with my list of 5 films here. Small things like these. Anatomy of a Fall, which was brilliant.
brilliant, yeah.
We just saw Sandra Heller in
Sentimental
Project Hail
Value.
Mary.
Oh no,
She's in Project Hail Mary.
I'm mixing up something else. Yeah, Project Hail Mary, Singing Sign of the Times.
Kneecap, Challengers, and The Substance.
Substance,
Wow,
yeah, what a
what a
cracker.
year.
Demi Moore was robbed.
Absolutely robbed. Who even won it that year?
Honora.
Do you remember? Oh, Honora. Oh, we hated Honora.
Which, by the way, is about to
Yeah.
was in. I had that as a second worst, either on my 2024 or
See what I mean?
2025
See what I mean
list.
about Best Picture at the Oscars being wrong, except for the 2 years where they had my number one and they were right. They're the only 2 times they've been right.
Yeah, the Honora was Daylight Robbery. Dave, what was your worst at 24?
Argyle.
Which is, remind me what Argyle is.
It's the film that you argued with me was quite good on a very heated podcast episode. It was a Matthew.
It's a
and
Superman.
This is you just
Is
being
Superman
a
in
troll.
it?
You were just being an absolute
I was trolling
troll
you.
to me.
Yeah, you're really easy to rile up to. Oh, is it Superman? What's his name again?
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill, yeah.
Is Henry Cavill with the hairdo and Sam Rockwell dancing around like an
Oh,
idiot.
yeah.
And
It had like a
what's her
great
name?
fun premise that it didn't really deliver
Bryce
on.
Dallas Howard
Yeah,
miscast.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just like
Remember
Matthew
now.
Vaughn up his own arse.
yeah.
Just a ugly, horrible, terrible movie.
Your face looks disgusted. Okay,
I'm revolted by the thought of that movie.
on to 2025, which we only recorded last December. It's now March, or no, it's April. I can barely remember.
This is very recent.
Number 5, I absolutely stand by. I
Is
love
it
this
even
film.
worth us talking about
It
these?
is.
Okay, go on.
We're doing the best of the decade. Like, my number 5 was Saipan. Totally stand by.
Yeah.
Love that film.
Look at all these Irish films. Go on.
My
keep
number
going.
4 was Christie, the Irish one, not the boxing one, starring
Not the Sydney Sweeney one.
Absolutely love Christie.
That has since won it won the IFTA, the Irish Film
Yeah.
and Television Academy Award for
yeah,
for
because you
best
know the
film.
way you're cross-referencing yours with the Oscars, I'm going to cross-reference mine with Yiftas. Christie's also made in Cork, and it's a wonderful film. It's
It's
really,
a great film.
really touching, really sweet, and kind of spotlights kinship care, which is where people are looked after by members of their family, but not their parents.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Pillion was my number 3. Banger.
What a film.
Love Pillion. My number 2 was Here We Are Again, Paul Mescal. What
You're
a
a
role
sucker for
him.
Paul Mescal.
History of Sound. When he's playing this kind of character, a tender, slightly lost, struggling with his inner demons in a relationship, whether it's with a family member or a romantic relationship.
Gay man as well. He plays a good gay man.
Brilliant. He is just unbeatable. Like, and I love him kind of in everything, but like I just see this being way more his bag than whether it was William Shakespeare in Hamlet or say Gladiator.
2.
Yeah,
That was the only time I've seen Paul Mescal. Look, we found the limits of Paul Mescal.
It wasn't the right role for him.
He was wrong in Gladiator 2.
And he
No,
was
but-
fine, but it just wasn't.
But
This
he
is where
looked-
he needs to be.
On paper, it looked right. Like he looked the business on the poster.
sure, he had
makes
muscles.
sense as this
Yeah.
Russell Crowe's son, but he didn't have it.
It's just not
Interesting.
right for him. But History
No.
of Sound, I loved. It's about it ended up being totally scuppered by 2 things. Paul Mescal being in Hamlet, which stole all the attention of him, and then Josh O'Connor. There was another big film that Josh O'Connor
He
was
in the
that was
Knives
getting
Out
some-
film, maybe? Or
No, it was not. It was it
the
had
Italian,
awards
the
buzz. That
Italian
kinda,
one.
I don't know, but it had awards buzz and it
Architect?
disappeared. And yeah, The Architect, I think. The 2 of them ended up really not getting any publicity for History of Sound. And it's an awful shame because I think I loved it. I loved it way more than I loved Hamlet, for example, even though I
looks
thought
lovely.
Hamlet was a great film.
I
It's
must
about
watch that.
folk. It's about in the early 1900s, these 2 guys going around rural America and collecting folk songs, particularly from immigrants, like African immigrants, Irish immigrants, etc. And their love story and like playing out a gay romance in the midst of World War I. And I just loved it so much. We never reviewed it on the podcast because I caught it at Cork International Film Festival. And my number 1 of the year was Sinners. If I was to pick one of the decade, it probably would be Sinners, and it's not just recency bias.
Really?
Such a phenomenal film.
Yeah.
We
must rewatch that.
Every part of Sinners is incredible, but for me, and a big theme when I look back over this is like films with music in it, and the music of Sinners is just exquisite. The cinematography, of course, the first female cinematographer ever to win an Oscar, the performances, the setting, the story, like just on every cylinder it was firing.
It was great to see Ludwig Göransson pick up the Oscar. I think that was well deserved.
Yeah.
Bit unfortunate that it got beat by K-pop Demon Hunters for the song.
I think
although
it should have won Best Song.
acknowledging that Golden's
a banger.
all timer.
But Would I Lie to You should have won.
Oh my God.
My worst of the year was Baby Girl, the abysmal film from Nicole Kidman, and I really hope she starts doing better roles, because like, you know the way you judge some actors by their picker, and like Paul Mescal's an example of someone who's got a great picker. Even though I didn't love him in Hamlet or Gladiator, they're great.
What do you mean by picker?
Like, they pick good films.
Oh right, okay.
What's happening for Nicole Kidman? Like, she's picking weird projects. She plays the same character at all times in them. It's just weird. Baby Girl was terrible.
She picks projects based on... She gets sent stuff. And there's two piles in Nicole Kidman's office.
Mm-hmm.
One is, am I a New York upper crust socialite? And the other pile
or
is,
adjacent.
I am not a New York upper crust.
Or adjacent.
The other pile is interesting.
And Baby Girl thought it was really interesting because it was like, guess what? This time the CEO is a woman. Like, okay, great.
I love hearing you talk about Baby Girl.
Dave, bring us home with your 2025 list.
This is the year we had the same best and worst film of the year. Best Sinners and Baby Girl. My number 5 was Pillion. My number 4 was I don't have a lot of horror films going back.
And you're a big horror guy.
Looking back, and I am a big horror guy. Actually, I can pick out a few. A Quiet Place and what else? The Substance was number 1, I suppose. But yeah, I had 2 horror films last year: The Weapons and Bring Her Back, which I thought were both fantastic.
Weapons being number 4, Bring Her Back being number 3.
That's right. And then I had One Battle After Another and Sinners. So again, see, I predicted the big Oscar films. So the Oscars again following my lead.
The Oscars, Sinners should have won all the awards.
I think Sinners...
Should have won Best Director.
I
it's
think
crazy.
I think it's Best Picture and... well, yeah, I don't mind Paul Thomas Anderson getting it.
I don't mind him getting it, but I think Sinners,
I
when you
would've
look at all
liked-
the indicators, it's like, what are you telling us? What's the best cinematography? It's the best music. It's the best script. And it's the best actor. Huh.
I know.
Who brings all those things together?
I know.
in a film?
I would have loved to have seen Ryan Coogler.
I would have loved to see, but I was delighted he won, obviously, for the best screenplay. What was your worst of the year?
Baby Girl.
I mean, it's
Baby Girl! I
I
said this is your worst film tonight.
Please don't do that. This is such a fun list. I'm so pleased we pulled it together because it's always been so disparate. We always make our lists like the day of or the day before we record our end of the year episodes in a blind panic. It's really fun to see them laid out like this.
Are you really gonna pretend to the listeners that we didn't do this last night in a blind panic?
No, we did do this last night in a blind panic.
Oh yeah.
But I'm saying it's nice to have them all collated together.
Oh, it is.
Really fun. I'm happy with our list. A load of Irish films in here. A load of great films.
Great Excel work.
One or
here as
two
well,
possible duds. A list of terrible bads. So we'll publish the list, as I said, on Patreon. It will be free to access for anyone who wants to go through and look for movies they might watch.
Are there any patterns here you can call out?
Patterns?
Like, is there anything that jumps out
For
to
me,
you?
the
Like
pattern
you've
was a
got
lot of music.
You've got a lot of music, a lot of Irish films.
A lot of Irish. I've got a lot of... I like relationship films. They're probably the 3 patterns I've noticed.
You can see, I thought there would be more superhero films on here because I get lumped in with that quite a lot. Like even recently, I get Dave's the comic book guy and Kathy's somebody in our Patreon said that I should give you a quiz on comic book movies and you should give me a quiz on what was it?
Reality TV.
Reality TV films. But like I think that my lists reflect a decline in those the quality of those
I'm sad
films.
for you. Like if we'd made this
the era is well and truly over.
If we had been making this podcast pre 2016, like you'd have had an MCU in there every year, and
I'd
I would have had a few MCUs as
Civil
well.
War and all those that'd be up there, yeah.
So yeah. Thank you, Dave, for 10 years of podcasting, 400 Cinemile episodes, hundreds of TV and retro movie episodes, none of which we could do without our listeners who were the absolute best. We love hearing from you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening, whether it's on Apple Podcast or Spotify or wherever else you listen. Thank you for being along with us for 10 years. Thank you.
It's amazing. 10 years.
It blows my mind, to be honest. I can't believe, like, when I listened back to the 2016 episode, it nearly felt like we were like two different people. We were two different people. We lived in a different country. We'd no kids. We were just coming into our 30s.
But when I think about 2016, I don't think that that's 10 years ago. I don't understand. That doesn't make the maths doesn't add up.
2016,
That
honestly,
feels very recent.
It's a happy year for us because we started our podcast, but it's the year everything went downhill. Trump got in, Brexit happened.
God,
Like,
let's not talk about it.
2016, I think it's funny. Do you remember there was a trend on Instagram where everyone was like going back to 2016? And I do think the reason that year got picked, or for whatever reason in the trend, is because it's like the last
good year. Was it? I think it was the last good year. Wow. Did civilization peak?
It's not that everything
Right
was great in
before that.
2016 by any means for most people, but there wasn't
the beginning of the end.
It wasn't the daily dread we now all experience.
Yeah.
Like we're coming off the back of like threats of nuclear war there in Iran 2 days ago. So like just that kind of rhetoric. And at the beginning, I remember I woke Dave up 3 times in the space of 12 months to tell him news.
And
I woke
the
you
other
up-
362 days I slept in.
No, but I remember waking you up to tell you Brexit happened.
Yeah.
And you were like, no way. And I said, yeah. And you didn't believe me. You thought I was messing.
No, I remember that moment.
I remember waking you up to say Trump got in.
I remember
You
that
couldn't believe
moment
it.
vividly.
And then I remember in 2017 waking you up to tell you that we were in The Observer for winning Best New
that was a
Podcast,
good- that
British
was good
Podcast
news.
Awards, and we didn't know, but The Observer wrote like a big piece. So thank you, Miranda Sawyer, who's such an advocate for our podcast. So because we launched in 2016, the first ever British Podcast Awards were in 2017, and we entered the Best New Podcast category, and we won. We couldn't believe it. We were so thrilled. And then the next morning, that Observer, it was like a half page about the podcast, and our podcast totally blew up that day. And so we got so many new listeners then. So a lot of our listeners now will have probably arrived from that article. And that was a nice, after the 2 horrible wake ups I gave you.
Yeah.
This was a nice one.
I dread being woken up by Kathy. to
Downside
news.
of
It
having
could go either way.
someone who wakes up earlier and reads the news. But yeah, no, it's a wild decade, honestly, like politically and all the rest of it. Absolute madness. Pandemic in the middle, where we did manage to podcast through, which I'm really happy about. And then we moved back to Ireland in 2022. So it's been an Irish based podcast ever since then. A decline in cinema. We do miss the British cinemas, I have to say, like those, wine and pizza and nice comfy chairs.
So much better in England.
Yeah, we do miss those. But of course, we're thrilled to support Irish cinema here, and I've been on the board of the Cork International Film Festival since 2022, so we do our best over here to support cinema. And yeah, what a laugh. Dave, thanks for being the best co-host ever.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. To 10 more years.
Yeah, well, no, my goal is for us to be the longest running podcast of all time in the world.
Of all time.
And we are doing this like in Zimmer frames, wheelchairs, what have you, in our 80s. The kids will be roped into pushing us home while we record a podcast if we can walk.
Hi, this is Oscar, and this is my brother Elliot. And we're here with our parents who can no longer verbally communicate.
We just thumbs up or thumbs down. It's so fun anyway. And like over the years, I've loved having the kids on the podcast as well. So if you do rate the podcast, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify if you haven't, because it means a lot. Come over to patreon.com/the Cinemile, where we do retro movie reviews every month. We talk about TV all the time. We've done 9 end of year TV episodes. So maybe next year we'll do a best of the decade on TV, because we only started that in 2017. We started doing our best of TV roundups.
Yeah.
So thanks everyone for listening.
Thank you for listening. And yeah, and please hope to hear you continue to listen. What am I saying?
What are you saying?
I forgot how to sign off a podcast. 10
You say,
years.
bye.
Bye. See you later.